Fulham. But what you can see is that when Watford get the ball, yes, they commit bodies forwards. As Danny Rose puts the ball in from the left, but when Tottenham have the ball, they're playing a very deep and a low press. Watford are sliding and then looking to counter-attack by balls up to Deeney and then bringing people into play. Deeney looked like he took a bit of a knock, but I think he's okay now. But Pereira's just on the counter-attack there, but snuffed out again by Tottenham. So yeah, it's a low press from Watford, and then and Tottenham dictating the play. But no, not too much of a hangover at the moment, Jules, from their cup exits.
It was just a sign of promise from Leicester a minute or so ago, but guess what? It's down the other end, and Liverpool on the attack again, Charlie.
Yeah, they are, but this one's not came anything, but it was a penalty claim for Leicester. And it's the pitch again that's playing its part. As Matty tried to be clever and play a pass just outside his own box to Henderson, and because of the surface and the slowness of it, with this little bit of snow is just staying there. Don't know if it's because of freezing conditions that it's maybe not going to melt away, it's going to just sit on the surface. But it didn't get to its destination. And all of a sudden Vardy's pace got him there, and he just goes to toe poke away from Henderson. He did that, but as Vardy tends to do, he goes down far too easily, so no penalty.
Now, we've talked about the absence of Ali, the absence of Kane for Tottenham, and the importance of the returning Son, and that man came close to giving Spurs the lead, Matt.
Yeah, and if there were any hangover from coming out of the Cups, this man gives you a big lift, because he just put a ball in there from the right, well defended. Then there was a challenge by Matt on him, but not a penalty for me. But his effort, Jules, he's sort of to the right of the box and does a brilliant turn, a brilliant swivel, loses cleverly, and then on his left foot, he kills it. Ben Foster, who for me has been one of the best keepers in the league this season, is rooted to the spot. He watches it and just goes wide of Ben Foster's right-hand post. Another half a yard inside. No way does he save it. Tottenham would have been leading, but I tell you what, Son has been right in the thick of the action. So if there's anything from his journey, nah, he looks like fine to me.
Spurs have scored 15 goals against Watford since Pochettino took over as manager. 11 of those 15 were scored by either Kane, Ali or Son. Son, the only one of the three playing tonight. That is why he's so important to them this evening. Let's see what's happening at St Mary's then. Vicky's been telling us about an end-to-end first 20 minutes or so without too many attempts on goal, but we've seen one now, Vicky.
Yeah, we have. Do you know what? It's interesting because Palace have done so well up until that moment where they left a gap and they got overcovered in wide areas, which resulted with a shot on goal. But Palace have been so compact and narrow, which causes Southampton to have width and try and play around them. But then on the transition, you see, that's when they're vulnerable. And Palace have been getting in with the diag into Zaha on the transition. But it's an interesting game because there's no teams really standing out. There's been both teams. Oh, here we go. No.
No problems.
No problems for the keeper. No, it's interesting because the transitions have been the big winners for both teams.
Well, it's a confident save that was pretty much straight at the Palace keeper, who is Vicente Gaeta tonight. He's back after injury. Wayne Hennessy back on the bench, which means Speroni is back as third choice, despite featuring when those two were out. Right, back we go to the game at the Vitality Stadium then, and the chances we talked about that have come, Curtis, have been Chelsea's. Are Bournemouth missing Callum Wilson tonight?
I think they are, but at the same time, they're not keeping the ball. They haven't been able to keep the ball, and they're trying to set the trap against Chelsea and push high up, but Chelsea are just playing around it and going on the break. And a minute ago, Pedro, after a good ball from David Luiz through the lines to Hazard. Hazard played a nice ball to Pedro, cutting on his left, but easy save for the keeper.
Right, let's get up to Scotland and see what is happening at Celtic Park. A bitterly cold night. In fact, before we go there, you can just see it said about a second goal for their old firm rivals, Rangers, who are looking pretty sure now, even though it's only 26 minutes in, for a place in the next round of the Scottish Cup, because they're 2 up against League 2 Cowden Beast. The Blue Brazil have conceded the second. Lasana Koulibaly has got the second. Just his third Rangers goal, and that was Andy Halliday's 12th minute opener. So looking good for Rangers, who, by the way, if they win this, will go to Kilmarnock in the next round on February the 9th. Right, back at Celtic Park then. Celtic looking to stretch their lead at the top of the table over Rangers in Kilmarnock to 6 points. Should they be ahead against St Johnstone? Mark Penstead.
Very possibly, just in the last 30 seconds or so, probably the closest they've come to a goal in what has been a tight first half so far. It was Emilio Epagiri with a cross on the left, Scott Sinclair onto it about 6 yards out, and Xander Clark with a brilliant one-handed save to keep the ball out, and Scott Sinclair went in to follow up. He fouled a St Johnstone defender, free kick, the danger was over for the visitors then. St Johnstone have been good so far. It's been a tight game as it stands. They do boast the best away record in the Scottish Premiership, it has to be said. 7 wins on their travels so far. Celtic not having it all their own way at the moment tonight.
Yeah, they are not to be messed with away from McDermott Park, that's for sure. St Johnstone, as Mark mentioned there, only 4 matches they haven't won on their travels, and they have drawn on their last 2 visits to Celtic Park, and making life difficult for Celtic tonight. Right, back we go to the Vitality Stadium, and a couple of times the ball's into the box, the Bournemouth box from Chelsea. That's where you expect to see Higuain, the new striker, 300 goals in his career. He wasn't there, Curtis.
Yeah, it's done that right side again, but this time it's Aspilicueta. He gets to the byline, puts the ball straight through the what we call the corridor behind the defenders, and there's no one there to tap it in. And Higuain was disappointed that he wasn't there just to get simple tapping in his first goal for Chelsea.
I mean, how difficult must it be for players coming into the English game? The pace of it.
I think the pace of it will be different, but he's playing in a team that's dominated the game, and his manager trusts him and knows him very well. So that backing should help him, and at the end of the day, he's got people like Hazard playing around him that should be able to create some good chances for him. So I'm sure he'll get some goals in this league.
Well, it was a sort of ball into the box that you thought he would have loved to have been on the end of. He didn't make it, but we'll see if Higuain can make a telling contribution on his Premier League debut for Chelsea tonight. So still goalless there. Already a goal, as we told you about, in the 3rd minute of the game at Anfield. Sadio Mane with it. They threatened a second soon after. Leicester had that penalty appeal through Vardy. Charlie, have they had much more than that?
Well, my apologies for that. It wasn't Vardy, it was Maddison, who in recent weeks when I've been watching him, Maddison's been doing a little bit of diving himself. He had no need to go down, Julian. You know, it was such a poor pass from Matip, who didn't get to Henderson. The pitch suited him, but he actually skipped by Henderson, went into the edge of the box. And if he had stayed near his feet, he had a one-on-one situation. He decided he wanted to go down, which for me is a wrong choice, and it was a cop-out, excuse the pun. But all of a sudden, Liverpool have just slowed the thing down again, and they're just teasing and tormenting Leicester into try and pitch up 5-10 yards higher. So then, the pace of Mane and Salah can go back in behind, because this slow pitch should help the passing in terms of feeding into in behind the defenders.
Well, it's all going Liverpool's way so far, so strong at home. Unbeaten in 32 home Premier League games now, Liverpool, stretching back to April 2017, so coming towards 2 years since they last lost the league game at Fortress Anfield. Right, back to go to St Mary's then, and still we wait the first goal between Southampton and Crystal Palace. And Vicky, is that frenetic start continued?
Do you know what? It's still frantic, and I've just witnessed Stevens nearly getting himself sent off. He should have been off for that tackle, 2-footed tackle, lunges in. Lucky to be on the pitch, in my opinion. Little reaction from Townsend, but yeah, it's still very feisty, still up in the air. So
yes, a different referee might have seen that in a different way, but Stevens gets away with that tackle, and Southampton still have their full quota of players on the pitch, 0-0, but we still await the first goal there, as we do in the 8 o'clock kick-off at Wembley. 15 minutes gone now between Spurs and Watford. Any clear-cut chances since we last with you, Matt?
Not clear-cut chances, but Ben Foster's made a decent save, and it's harder than you think. So for Tongan it is, who's up from centre-back, comes down the left, puts a cross in, just as Son goes through there. Oh, brilliant, good goalkeeping again from Ben Foster there. But first it was Vertonghen had gone through, down the left, up from centre-half, puts a cross in, cleared by Watford, they keep it alive, ends up with Ericsson on the edge of the box, he shoots, takes a big deflection off Mariappa, but luckily for Foster, takes a bit of pace out of the ball, he gets back to make the save, and there Eriksen's just played Son through, a lot of bodies around him, touch is slightly heavy, but Foster's in such a good positive starting position, he comes out and smothers it. So good goalkeeping again from Ben Foster. Spurs having a lot of the ball, Watford playing this low block, but at the moment Watford defending well.
And just a word on Fernando Llorente, he's really had to be patient, isn't he, in his time at Spurs, with Harry Kane obviously being the first choice striker. 4 games in a row now he's started. Has he had any telling contribution tonight?
Well, they'll be enjoying this run in the side, and you can't argue, you know, once you get that run, and the manager Pochettino saying, there you go and get your chance. He got the header against Chelsea, which would have given him some confidence. I thought that was an excellent header. Tonight, he's not had a lot. Tried to link the players, to say the cross that Vertonghen put in, he was in the right position, he was in the width for the goal, but there haven't been many chances at the moment. Son's looked the most lively, Eriksen getting in those pockets, but what Llorente does is he does occupy centre-halves, and he brings other people into play. So at the moment he hasn't had a clear-cut chance, so we're desperate for one. But Spurs just starting to come on top as Rose is down the left now and whips the ball in, but again, 2 defenders against Llorente and it's cleared.
Back we go to the Vitality Stadium. Such a bright start to the season, wasn't it, for Bournemouth? But since the start of November, they've lost 11 of the last 15 games in League and Cup. Really trying to get their season going again. But any indications they might do tonight, Curtis?
Not at the moment, no. It's a frustrating game for Bournemouth, and I think particularly David Brooks, he hasn't been able to touch the ball. He's playing in that number 10 role behind Josh King, and he's not seeing the ball. I don't know whether they need to maybe drop him back a bit and allow their wingers to push on a bit, because whenever Fraser and Stanislas are getting it so deep that fair enough they can then run with it, but they're running from their own third and having to dribble it 60 yards to get anywhere near the Chelsea box. So it's very frustrating for Bournemouth at the moment, but they're starting to keep it a little bit better now.
32 minutes gone there, still goal.